They laughed when they stole my pumpkins. They filmed me from the porch, calling me a witch. And maybe they were right, because tonight, I decided to stop pretending otherwise. I'm Joe, 69 years old, living in the little house at the edge of Hawthorne, Illinois. Folks know it by the crooked oak tree out front and the sagging picket fence that leans like it's tired of standing. I planted that fence with my husband, Harold, 40 years ago. He's gone now. The house is mine, the quiet is mine, and on most days I don't mind being alone. But Halloween is different. Halloween used to be our holiday. Harold carved the pumpkins, and I baked pies that smelled of cinnamon and nutmeg. Kids from the neighborhood lined up on the porch for hot cider before trick-or-treating. I kept those traditions alive after he passed, until my grandchildren decided to turn them into a joke. It started with whispers. Grandma Joe's crazy, my eldest, Tyler, said once at Sunday dinner, thinking I couldn't hear. She decorates like it's a haunted house. The others giggled. Fine, let them laugh. But this year they decided laughter wasn't enough. On the morning of Halloween, I found my pumpkins gone. Every last one. Even the fat orange one I'd been saving since September, the one Harold would have called a beauty. In their place was a paper sign taped to the porch rail, "Free candy inside if you dare." By noon, I saw the video. Tyler had posted it online. Him and the others, Madison, Caleb, and Zoe, screaming into the camera, "Grandma Joe, the Witch of Hawthorne." They twirled my scarecrow's hat like a prize. In the background, you could hear Madison saying, "She'll probably hex us with soup." The video already had dozens of laughing comments from their friends. I didn't cry. I didn't call them. I didn't even take the sign down. I just sat in my rocking chair, the floor creaking under me, and stared at the basement door. The thing is, my grandchildren aren't wrong. My grandmother, my real grandmother, from back in Appalachia, taught me old prayers when I was a girl. Whispers you weren't supposed to repeat in daylight. She said on Halloween, the night when the veil thins, words can bend shadows. Candles can change the shape of a house. Don't play with it unless you're willing to see, she warned me. I never dared. Until now. The sun fell early, orange bleeding into black. Children's voices echoed faintly from the streets, costumes rustling, candy bags crinkling. My porch stayed empty. No pumpkins, no light, no welcome. Just me and the shadows stretching long across the floor. I waited until the town grew quiet. The last firework cracked somewhere near the school football field. Then I went to the basement. The steps groaned under my weight. Damp air pressed against my skin. I hadn't been down there in months, but I knew exactly where the box was beneath the shelf of canned peaches, hidden under an old quilt. A wooden box, carved with stars and spirals. My grandmother's box. Inside, for candles, black as midnight. A scrap of paper with words written in faded ink. And a matchbook from some long-forgotten motel. I set the candles in a circle on the basement floor. Lit them one by one. The flames didn't flicker. They burned steady, tall, like they'd been waiting all these years. I whispered the words, each syllable scratching my throat like broken glass. The house shuddered. Not from wind. Not from passing cars. From inside. The walls sighed. The floorboards shifted, stretching. I heard doors upstairs creak open one by one, though I hadn't touched them. I climbed back up slowly. The air felt thicker, charged, like static before a storm. At the top of the stairs, I froze. The hallway was longer than it should have been. Much longer. My bedroom door was still there at the end, but the space between stretched out like taffy, shadows crawling along the edges. I smiled. The prayers had worked. I sat in the dark living room, listening. Waiting. And right on cue, the laughter came. Tyler and Madison, slipping in through the back door they thought I never locked. Caleb and Zoe following close behind. Whispering, giggling, phones glowing in their hands. Round 2, Tyler muttered. "Let's film the old witch in her nest." I didn't move. I just watched from the corner as the house began to play with them. The hallway lights flickered. Madison frowned, tapping her phone. Wi-Fi's dead. Zoe tried to open the kitchen door. It swung wide, but instead of the backyard, there was another hallway, darker, longer, lined with mirrors that hadn't been there before. She gasped, stepped back. What the Caleb started. Then he looked out the front window. His face drained. Guys? The street's gone. Gone. The window showed nothing but swirling mist, faint shapes moving in it. Shapes that looked too much like people, but not people. Grandma? Tyler called nervously. You here? I rose from my chair slowly, the dark cloak heavy on my shoulders. Their eyes widened. The room was lit only by candle glow leaking up from the basement, throwing my shadow tall against the wall. Yes, I said softly. I'm here. The laughter died in their throats. The walls groaned. The windows rattled. Behind them, the hallway stretched further, twisting like a snake, doors opening into endless black. From the mirrors, reflections began to step forward, versions of themselves, older, broken, bitter. They stumbled back, panic rising. Grandma, what's happening? Madison cried. You made your choice, I whispered. My voice didn't even sound like mine anymore. It was older, deeper, layered with echoes. This Halloween, you'll remember me forever. The candles downstairs roared. The house sealed itself shut. And the games truly began. The house swallowed their laughter first. Then it began to chew on their courage. Tyler was the loudest, as always. This is just some setup, he snapped, though his voice cracked. She's got, like, projectors or something. It's fake. Fake. I asked softly. The shadows thickened around him. Step closer and see. He hesitated, then pushed forward into the hall. The mirrors trembled. His reflection stepped out, a version of himself, 10 years older, hair thinning, eyes hollow, clutching a stack of unpaid bills. What the hell, he reached out, but the reflection did the same, lips curling into a grin. Then it whispered the word failure. Only him, only for him. He stumbled back, nearly dropping his phone. Madison tried to laugh it off, brushing her hair nervously over one shoulder. It's just like special effects. Right? Right? She turned toward the kitchen, but the doorway didn't lead there anymore. Instead, it opened into a bathroom. Hers. I recognized the pink tiles from her apartment. But the mirror over the sink showed not her face, but an older version, lines carved deep from loneliness, makeup smeared from tears, lipstick smudged across cracked lips. Stop it, she whispered. The reflection pressed its hands against the glass as if trying to crawl through. Stop it. Caleb tugged at her arm. Come on, it's some trick, but when he pulled open the back door, he froze. Instead of the yard, he saw rows of slot machines blinking in red and green, casino lights spinning endlessly. The sound of coins clattering filled the air. His face drained, because gambling was his secret. He thought none of us knew. From the misty doorway, a voice boomed. You lose again, Caleb. Always losing. The machines flashed bankrupt across every screen. His hands shook as he tried to shut the door. It wouldn't close. Zoe, the youngest, clutched her phone. I'm calling Dad. She pressed the button. No signal. The screen glowed instead with a video of her future. A living room, empty. A birthday cake on a table with too many candles, but no one singing. Just her, older, sitting alone, scrolling through a dead phone. She dropped it, the screen cracking on the floor. The house groaned again, stretching taller. The ceiling seemed to climb. Shadows dangled from it like roots, reaching. Grandma, please, Madison said, her voice shrill. It was a joke. We were just having fun. Fun, I repeated. You call it fun to erase someone, to mock the hands that fed you. I stepped closer. The cloak trailed across the floor like a tide of black water. Tonight, the house remembers. And so will you. The lights blinked out completely. Only the glow of the basement candles seeped upward, flickering through the floorboards. Tyler! Madison shrieked. Where'd you go? But he hadn't moved. The hallway had. It stretched, twisted, swallowed him deeper. His voice echoed from far away now, panicked. Wait, guys? Don't leave me here. Caleb lunged forward to grab him, but the hallway folded sideways, like paper crumpling. Caleb slammed into a mirror instead. His reflection smirked, holding a deck of cards. Double or nothing, it taunted. He screamed and punched the glass. His hand went straight through, and when he pulled it back, the reflection had his wrist. Blood streaked across the mirror. Zoe huddled against the wall, sobbing. Grandma, I didn't mean it. I swear. I didn't post the video. It was them. The wall behind her rippled. Wallpaper peeled back like skin. Words appeared, scrawled in black, liar. You laughed the loudest. She clapped her hands over her ears. The smell of smoke drifted through the house, not fire, but candle smoke, thick and sweet, like burning herbs. My grandmother used to say it called the dead closer. The clock in the living room struck midnight. Each chime shook the walls. On the 12th, the windows turned black. No moon, no street, no outside at all. I looked at them one by one. Their faces pale, eyes wide. Finally, they understood this wasn't a prank. This was a reckoning. Tyler's voice echoed again, farther away now. Grandma, help me. Please, I'm stuck. The others turned to me, begging silently. But I only raised one finger to my lips. Shh, I said. The night's only just begun. The floor beneath us shifted suddenly, groaning. Boards cracked, dust billowed. A hole opened in the center of the room, black and endless. Cold air rose from it, carrying whispers. Not my voice. Not living voices. Whispers from below. The children screamed as the edges of the floor splintered wider. Their eyes started to me, pleading. And I smiled. Because the house had chosen. The house was no longer wood and nails. It was a mouth. And my grandchildren were inside it. Tyler's screams came first, echoing through the stretched hallway. His voice pitched high, panicked, nothing like the boy who once puffed out his chest at Thanksgiving to prove he was a man. Grandma, help me. But the hallway kept pulling him. Every step he tried to take toward us slid him backward, deeper into the dark. Shadows slipped across the walls, tugging at his clothes, whispering in his ears. He swung his fists, but he only struck air. Stop moving, I told him. It only pulls harder if you fight. He froze for a moment, staring at me, desperate. Then what do I do? Listen, I said. From the dark, his reflection appeared again, older, broken, clutching a stack of unpaid bills. It whispered the same word, failure. Louder now, echoing through the hall. Another voice joined in, his boss's, sharp and cold, not good enough. Then another, a girl he once loved, saying waste of time. Each voice piled on, building a chorus of condemnation. Tyler screamed and clamped his hands over his ears. But the voices didn't come from outside. They came from inside. The floor shuddered beneath us. Caleb fell to his knees, still clutching his bleeding wrist where the mirror had cut him. Blood dripped onto the wood, soaking in like the house was thirsty. The smell of iron mixed with the candle smoke. From the shattered mirror, his reflection crawled through, whole and grinning, holding a deck of cards. Double or nothing, it taunted again, flicking 2 bloody aces onto the floor. Caleb shook his head violently. No more. I'm done. But the reflection didn't care. It reached out and shoved a handful of coins into his lap. The coins burned, sizzling against his jeans. He yelped, throwing them aside, but more spilled out of nowhere, cascading down the walls, clattering against the floor, piling around his legs until he was knee-deep in money that was worthless and endless. Madison backed away, trembling, her phone light flickering uselessly. She turned toward the bathroom door again, the one that led into her apartment. No, she whispered. Not that. Not me. The mirror inside the bathroom pulsed. Her reflection pressed against the glass again, older, smeared, mascara streaking down her face. Alone, it crooned. Alone. 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 The word echoed, bouncing off the tiles. Madison dropped her phone, clutching her head. Stop. Please stop. The glass cracked. Her reflection shoved harder, and this time the mirror split wide, cutting open like a wound. A hand shot through, her own hand, but older, clawing at her hair, dragging her toward the glass. Zoe huddled by the wall, sobbing, her cracked phone at her feet. On its screen, the video still played, her sitting alone with a cake, no one singing. The footage sped up, years flashing in seconds, her blowing out candles alone, Christmas mornings with empty stockings, anniversaries with no one to call. She screamed and smashed the phone under her heel. The screen went black. But the sound didn't stop. The voices kept chanting, alone. Forgotten. Empty. She clamped her hands over her ears, rocking back and forth. I stood in the center of the room, my cloak brushing the edges of the widening floor hole. The whispers rising from below grew louder. I recognized some voices, Harold's, my grandmother's, even my own mother's. They were not cruel. They were witnesses. The children's eyes darted to me, wide with terror. Madison shrieked, "Grandma, make it stop. Please. We're sorry, okay? We're sorry." I tilted my head, studying her. Sorry. Yes. We shouldn't have made fun of you, or the pumpkins, or any of it. She sobbed, mascara already streaking her cheeks. It was stupid. It was a joke. A joke, I repeated. That's what you called me. The shadows surged higher, stretching across the ceiling. The house groaned, hungry. Caleb thrashed in the pile of coins, screaming. Tyler vanished deeper into the hall, his voice fading into sobs. Madison fought against her own reflection, dragged inch by inch toward the mirror. Zoe curled smaller, whispering, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die." I stepped closer. My shadow stretched long, swallowing theirs. "You won't die," I said coldly. "Death is mercy. This is memory. You will live with it." The basement candles flared, their flames reaching unnaturally high. The hole in the floor split wider. Cold air blasted upward, carrying the scent of wet earth and rot. The children screamed together, voices tangled. And then, a knock at the door. 3 slow, heavy thuds. The sound froze them all. Even the house seemed to hold its breath. The front door rattled in its frame. A voice, low and muffled, seeped through the wood. "Joe." I knew that voice. My blood ran cold. It wasn't possible. "Joe," it called again. "Let me in." It was Harold, my dead husband. The knock shook the house. 3 slow thuds, steady as a heartbeat. "Joe," the voice called again. It was Harold's voice. My Harold. Dead for 11 years. The grandchildren froze. Tyler's echoing cries from the endless hallway went silent, as if even his nightmare paused to listen. Madison stopped struggling against her reflection, eyes darting toward the door. Caleb clutched his bleeding wrist, trembling. Zoe whispered, "Who is that?" I didn't answer. My throat tightened. It couldn't be him. Not truly. "Joe," the voice repeated. Softer now. "Open the door. It's cold out here." The front door rattled on its hinges. The knob turned once, slowly. I felt the house quiver. The shadows on the walls shifted uneasily, as though the whole structure was deciding whether to obey. "Grandma," Madison begged. It's Grandpa, right? Please let him in. He'll stop all this." "No." My voice came sharp, cutting. "Harold is gone." "But it's not him," I snapped. And still, the voice came again. "Joe, they're just kids. They didn't mean it. Don't hurt them." My heart thudded hard enough to hurt. Because that sounded like him. The tone he used when he wanted me to forgive too quickly. When he asked me to let things slide, to be quiet. I had spent years being quiet. The house groaned, the floorboards bowing under pressure. My grandmother's words whispered through my mind, "On Halloween, the dead may knock." but not all who knock are welcome. Grandpa? Zoe whispered, inching toward the door. Her hands shook. Don't, I hissed. But she ignored me. The knob turned again. The door creaked open an inch, then two. Cold mist poured in, curling across the floor. Zoe gasped and pulled it wider. A figure stood there, cloaked in fog. Tall, broad-shouldered, the same shape I had kissed goodbye on the day we lowered his coffin into the ground. His face was shadowed, but the outline was his. Joe, he said again, voice steady. Enough. This isn't you. The children bolted toward him like drowning souls spotting land. Madison reached first, clutching at his arm. Grandpa, please. Make it stop. He looked down at her, and for the first time his face flickered in the light. Not Harold's. Hollow eyes. A mouth too wide, teeth too many. His voice deepened. She won't stop. Madison screamed, shoving away. The figure lunged forward, hand stretching unnaturally long. The shadows recoiled as if burned. No, I thundered. You're not him. The candles downstairs flared white-hot. The figure snarled, smoke pouring from its mouth. Then it dissolved back into mist, sucked into the open night. The door slammed shut so hard the wall shook. The children collapsed in sobs, gasping for air. Caleb looked up at me, face pale. You did that. You brought it here. I met his gaze coldly. I called the truth. And sometimes, the truth wears masks. The house steadied itself, shadows crawling back into place. The hole in the floor gaped wider, and the whispers below grew louder, like 100 voices chanting in unison. Tyler's voice echoed faintly from the hall again. Don't leave me. Please. But the house wasn't finished with him. The hallway twisted further, splitting into endless corridors, each lined with doors. Behind every door, his failures waited. He ran screaming from one to the next, each reflection taunting him, each future bleaker than the last. His sobs grew raw. Caleb tried to stand, but the coins around him clinked louder. They rose again, spilling from the walls, burying him up to the waist. His reflection stepped forward, smiling. Bet it all, it whispered. Bet your soul. No. Caleb shrieked, thrashing, but the coins burned deeper into his skin. Madison was dragged halfway into the bathroom mirror now. Her older self clawed at her, nails sharp, face streaked with tears. This is what you become, it crooned. Lonely. Bitter. Forgotten. Grandma, she wailed. Please. Pull me out. I stepped closer, my cloak whispering across the floor. Why should I? Because I love you, she lied, desperation dripping from every word. I leaned in, close enough for her to see the fire in my eyes. You don't love me. You love your comfort. Her scream tore through the house as her reflection yanked her deeper into the glass. Zoe crouched near the door, trembling. Grandma, I'll change, I swear it. I won't laugh at you again. I'll stay with you, Her cracked phone buzzed on the floor. The screen lit up on its own, playing another video. This time, it showed her sitting on the same porch she mocked tonight, gray-haired, wrinkled, rocking alone as trick-or-treaters walked past without stopping. Her eyes in the video were hollow. She screamed and smashed it again, but the video kept playing in the shards. The house howled. The candles roared. The floor gave a violent shudder, and suddenly the children weren't just fighting visions, they were being dragged, inch by inch, toward the gaping hole in the center of the room. Madison clawed at the floorboards. Caleb thrashed against the avalanche of coins. Zoe clung to the doorframe, sobbing. Tyler's voice echoed from the depths of the hall. Don't let them take me. The whispers from the hole rose louder, shaping into words now. Not random. Not faint. Words clear enough to slice the air. Bring them down. Bring them down. Bring them down. The house wanted them. The dead wanted them. And for the first time that night, I wasn't sure if I could stop it. The hole in the floor yawned wider, breathing cold into the room. The whispers from below were no longer whispers. They were commands. Bring them down. Bring them down. The children screamed as the floorboards tilted toward the abyss. Caleb slid first, coins clattering around him like a waterfall of greed. He dug his bleeding fingers into the wood, but the house had no mercy. "Grandma," he cried. "Please help me." I stepped closer, cloak brushing the ground. "You gambled with everything I gave you," I said coldly. "Now the house calls your bluff." His reflection leaned over the pit, grinning, tossing burning coins into the dark. Each coin hissed, vanishing into blackness. Caleb sobbed, thrashing, but the more he fought, the faster the coins pulled him under. Madison clawed at the bathroom doorway, her older self still gripping her hair, yanking her deeper into the mirror. "No," she sobbed, mascara running down her cheeks. "I don't want to be alone." "You chose loneliness," I told her, my voice low. "Every cruel laugh, every shallow betrayal, you carved your own reflection." Her older self hissed, lips splitting into a cracked smile. "Come home," it crooned. "Stay with me forever." With a final tug, Madison's body jerked halfway into the glass, her screams echoing like shattering porcelain. Zoe trembled near the front door, her cracked phone glowing in shards. The videos still played, her rocking alone, year after year, invisible. She tried to crush the pieces under her shoe, but each shard showed the same future. Dozens of Zoes, aging in silence. "No," she whispered, voice breaking. "I'll change. I'll." The shards rose from the floor, floating around her in a circle of mirrors. Her face stared back at her 100 times, older, sadder, emptier. The reflections whispered together, "You will be forgotten." She dropped to her knees, sobbing. The house shook again. Tyler's voice shrieked from the hallway, raw and hoarse. "I'm sorry. Please, I'll do anything. Grandma, don't let them take me." But the hallway only stretched longer. Doors slammed open on both sides. Behind one, a future of bankruptcy. Behind another, divorce papers. Behind a third, his children turning their backs on him. Each door he opened revealed another downfall. Each step trapped him further. I clenched my fists. My grandmother's warning echoed in my mind. The house will show them what they earned. But if you feed it too much, it will hunger for more. And it was hungering. I could feel it, tugging at me, pulling my own memories forward. The nights I sat alone after Harold's death, the mornings when no one called, the quiet mockery of being labeled crazy old witch. The house wanted to feast on me too. "No," I whispered fiercely. "I am not yours." The candles below flared, nearly snuffing themselves out from the force of the air rushing upward. For a moment, the whispers shifted, twisting into a different chant. "Trade. Trade. Trade." The children froze. Madison, halfway in the mirror, turned her head. Caleb, bleeding and buried in coins, lifted his gaze. Zoe looked up through her veil of reflections. Even Tyler's voice went quiet in the hall. "Trade?" Caleb croaked. "What does that mean?" The house shuddered. A single word hissed from the pit, one for all. The children's eyes snapped to me. "No," I said quickly. "Don't look at me." Grandma, Zoe sobbed. "Please, if you give yourself, it'll let us go. Won't it?" Madison shrieked, hair ripping in clumps as her reflection dragged harder. "Do it. Please. I'll die in here if you don't." Caleb's reflection laughed, tossing more coins into the pit. "She won't. She never loved you that much." Their voices overlapped, pleading, accusing, begging, blaming. My cloak whipped around me in the rushing air. I felt the pull. The house wanted me to step into the circle, to throw myself into the pit, to buy their freedom with my flesh. And for a moment, just a moment, I almost did. Because I was their grandmother. Because part of me still remembered holding Tyler as a baby, braiding Madison's hair, reading to Caleb, rocking Zoe to sleep. That love was real once. But then another memory cut sharper. Tyler sneering, "She's a witch." Madison rolling her eyes, filming me without consent. Caleb pocketing the money I gave him and calling me senile behind my back. Zoe laughing loudest when they mocked my pumpkins online. They had buried me alive long before this night. No, I said again, stronger this time. My voice cracked like a whip through the chaos. I won't trade my soul for theirs. They earned this. The house roared, furious. The floor splintered, the walls cracked, the air screamed. The children shrieked, dragged closer to the abyss. And then, the candles below exploded, flames shooting upward through the cracks in the floor. Smoke filled the room, thick and choking. Through it, I saw shapes rising from the pit, hands. Pale, skeletal hands, dozens of them, reaching for my grandchildren. Madison's reflection yanked her fully into the mirror just as the hands grabbed her legs. Caleb disappeared under the avalanche of coins, skeletal fingers clutching his arms. Zoe's circle of mirror shards closed tight, and hands pulled her down through the floor. Tyler's final scream tore through the house as the hallway collapsed, dragging him into endless dark. Silence slammed down, heavy as stone. The hole in the floor snapped shut. The coins vanished. The mirrors went still. The hallway shortened back to normal. And my grandchildren were gone. Only the echo of their screams remained, fading into the smoke. I stood alone in the house, cloak heavy, candles sputtering below. The silence was worse than the screams. Because it wasn't finished. The floorboards under my feet creaked. The walls whispered. And then I realized the voices weren't saying bring them down anymore. They were saying you're next. The silence pressed in like a second skin. My grandchildren were gone, dragged screaming into their own punishments, but the house was not satisfied. You're next. The words curled through the walls, whispered through the floorboards, slipped like smoke into my ears. The air thickened, sour with the smell of damp earth and burnt wax. I tightened my cloak around my shoulders, though it did nothing against the cold. My grandmother's voice echoed in my mind. The house will always demand balance. It will never stop with them alone. The basement candles sputtered. One went out, then another. Darkness thickened at the edges of the room. The shadows stretched taller, sharper, until they were no longer shapes but figures, broad shoulders, hollow eyes, faces I recognized. Harold. My mother. Even my grandmother. Their outlines stood in the gloom, not flesh, not bone, just the memory of them. Joe, Harold's shape said, his voice deeper, warped. You should have traded. One for all. That was the price. No, I hissed. That wasn't him speaking before. That wasn't you. He stepped closer, the air bending around his form. You called us. You fed the house. Now you belong to it. I clenched my fists. I don't belong to anyone. The shadows moved together, circling me. My mother's hollow face bent down close. Ungrateful, she whispered. That's what they called you too, isn't it? You gave everything and they gave you nothing. I staggered back. You resent them, my grandmother's echo added. But resentment is a chain, Joe. And chains belong to the house. The floor shifted. My feet slid toward the center of the room where the hole had been. I dropped to my knees, clawing at the boards. No. The voices overlapped, chanting, yours. 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 The last candle sputtered, almost dying. Desperation surged through me. I slammed my palm against the floor. Enough. My voice cracked like thunder. For a moment, everything froze. The house hesitated. I dragged myself upright, cloak heavy, knees aching. You think you own me? You forget who taught me those prayers. My grandmother didn't give them to me so I'd surrender. She gave them to me so I'd stand. The shadows wavered, their faces flickering. I spoke the words again, the ones I had whispered at the start of the night, but louder, fiercer. The language scratched my throat raw, but I forced it out. The candle flared back to life. The shadows screamed, dissolving like smoke. But the floor didn't steady. It buckled, cracking open. Not a neat circle this time, but jagged, wild. A chasm splitting straight down the middle of the house. The basement groaned below, walls collapsing. Cold wind howled upward, dragging my cloak, trying to pull me into the abyss. I grabbed the banister, with splintering under my grip. My knuckles burned white. From below, I heard them, my grandchildren's voices. Faint, distant, echoing up from the dark. "Grandma!" Tyler's scream. "Please, I'll change." Madison sobbed. "I'll stop gambling." Caleb shouted. "I don't want to be alone." Zoe wept. Their cries clawed at my heart. For the first time that night, tears stung my eyes. They sounded younger now. Smaller. Like the children I once tucked into bed, not the cruel, mocking teenagers they'd become. The house whispered, "Save them. Trade. One for all." My grip faltered. The darkness pulled harder. I saw their faces in my mind, their first birthdays, their tiny hands holding mine, their innocent laughter before it soured. "Grandma," Zoe's voice echoed, soft as a child. "Don't let us go." The chasm widened. My body lurched toward it, pulled by invisible hands. My strength waned, my grandmother's words drowned out by the howling wind. I thought I could outsmart the house. But now it had me. My fingers slipped. And I fell. The fall was endless. Cold air whipped past me, black as ink, heavy as water. My cloak snapped around me like broken wings. I braced for the crash, but none came. Instead, I landed on my feet. The ground was damp stone, slick with shadows that moved like liquid. A faint light pulsed from nowhere, casting the abyss in gray hues. Whispers swirled around me, louder now, so many voices overlapping that it sounded like a crowd chanting in a language I almost understood. Then I heard them. "Grandma?" Zoe's voice, thin and trembling. I turned. She stood a few yards away, barefoot, clutching a broken doll I'd once sewn for her when she was 6. Her hair was tangled, her eyes hollow. Behind her, shards of glass floated in the air, each one reflecting her older self, alone in different rooms, years ticking by. "Help me," she begged, holding out the doll. "I don't want to be forgotten." I took a step forward, then stopped. The doll's eyes blinked. Too fast. Too wrong. Zoe's lips twisted into a smile that wasn't hers. The reflections whispered in unison. "Trade places." I backed away. "You're not her." The glass shards shattered, the sound piercing. Zoe's figure dissolved into mist. Behind me, Caleb's voice rang out. "Grandma, just one more chance. I can win it back." I spun. He stood knee-deep in coins, their edges sharp as knives. His hands bled as he scooped them up, desperate, tossing them into the air. "Double or nothing," he muttered over and over, his eyes wild. "Double or nothing." The coins rained down, clattering into piles that grew higher and higher, burying him up to his shoulders. His reflection towered over him, grinning, tossing dice that always landed snake eyes. "Stop," I barked. "It's over." He looked at me then, really looked, eyes wide with terror. "Then pull me out. Please. I don't want to drown in this." I stepped closer. The coin shifted, sharp edges slicing at my boots. His hand reached for mine. I almost took it, until I saw the reflection grinning wider behind him. Caleb's face flickered, morphing into the reflections. It wasn't him. Not really. I yanked my hand back. The pile of coins collapsed, swallowing him whole. His scream echoed until it broke into laughter. I turned away, chest heaving. A door creaked open in the darkness. Madison stumbled out, mascara smeared, her hair tangled, clutching a phone with a cracked screen. "Grandma, I was wrong," she sobbed. "I shouldn't have mocked you. Please, please don't let me become her." Behind her, mirrors stretched into infinity, each reflecting her older self, sitting alone in dim rooms, wine glasses empty beside her. The reflections banged on the glass, crying, "Join us." She staggered forward, hands outstretched. "I'll change. I'll stay with you. Just don't let them take me." Her phone buzzed in her hand. The screen lit up with a message. Too late. Her reflection lunged out, seizing her, dragging her screaming back into the infinite corridor of mirrors. The sound of glass shattering thundered through the abyss. My knees shook. I wanted to close my eyes. I wanted to block it all out. But then I heard the voice I dreaded most. Joe. Not Harold this time. Myself. I turned. A figure stood before me, cloaked just as I was, but older, thinner, frilier. My face lined deeper, my eyes dull, my body bent with loneliness. She held a candle in one hand, its flame almost dead. You can't fight it forever, she whispered. Her voice was mine, heavy with exhaustion. They'll forget you too. They already have. No, I whispered. Yes, she said. You saved them when they were children. You fed them, clothed them, loved them. And still they left you. Still they mocked you. You'll end up like me. She lifted the candle, revealing her face more clearly, sunken, hollow, forgotten. I staggered back, heart pounding. You're not me. She stepped closer. I am. Unless you make the trade. One for all. The ground shook violently. Cracks split open, spewing mist. From them, Tyler crawled out, his face pale, sweat streaming down his brow. He stumbled toward me, falling to his knees. Grandma, he rasped. I was wrong. I was stupid. Please save me. Don't let me go back there. His eyes filled with tears, the bravado gone. I froze. This looked like him, his real face, his real voice. Not a reflection. Not a trick. Please, he whispered. I can't do it alone. I'll change. I'll take care of you. I swear. My double's voice hissed in my ear. If you believe him, you fall with him. Tyler reached out, his hand trembling, waiting for mine. His eyes locked onto mine, desperate, human, real. The ground split wider. Mist surged upward. Hands clawed out from the cracks, skeletal, reaching for both of us. I stood frozen between two choices, grab him and risk the trade, or step back and let the house have him forever. Grandma, he screamed, tears spilling. Please, don't leave me. My hand lifted, shaking, toward his. And then the floor gave way beneath us both. We fell. The abyss swallowed us whole. Tyler's scream pierced the dark as we plummeted together, his hand clutching mine so tight I thought my bones might snap. Then impact. We hit stone hard. I gasped, my knees buckling. Tyler collapsed beside me, coughing, his face streaked with sweat and ash. Around us, the abyss stretched into a cavern of doors. Hundreds. Each one flickered with light, showing fragments of futures that had already begun to rot. Loneliness. Debt. Betrayal. Every door a punishment. Every punishment eternal. Tyler staggered to his feet, swaying. Grandma, please, his voice cracked. You can save us. You know how. The house's voice thundered all around, deeper than before. Trade. One for all. The other three appeared in the cavern. Zoe, shaking, her doll clutched to her chest. Caleb, half buried in coins that clinked with every step. Madison, mascara streaked, mirrors floating around her like vultures. They gathered in a circle, faces pale, eyes hollow. Grandma, Zoe whispered. Please, give yourself. Then we can go home. Madison dropped to her knees, sobbing. I'll do better. I'll take care of you. Just don't let it end here. Caleb's voice was raw, frantic. Please, I don't want to die like this. I'll change. I swear I'll change. Their voices layered together, a chorus of desperation. Children again, begging. The house pulsed with every word, the ground trembling under my feet. My grandmother's warning echoed in my mind. The house feeds on guilt. It wears their faces. If you give it yourself, it will never let you go. Tyler grabbed my cloak, eyes wild. You have to. It's the only way. You're supposed to love us. I yanked free, fury burning through me. Love. My voice cracked like a whip. I gave you everything. I sewed your costumes, baked your pies, kept the roof over your heads. And what did you give me back? Laughter. Cruelty. a mockery of everything I built. They shrank under my words, but still they begged. Zoe clung to my arm. "We're your blood." I looked down at her, my youngest, my baby. Once, she'd fallen asleep on my chest to the sound of my heartbeat. Once, she'd kissed my cheek and whispered, "Grandma, don't ever die." And now she had laughed while calling me a witch. "Yes," I said softly. "You are my blood. But you poisoned the vein." The cavern rumbled, doors slamming open one by one. The voices of the abyss howled, "Trade. Trade. Trade." I lifted my arms, the cloak heavy, the candlelight still flickering deep in the shadows. "No," I said. My voice carried like a storm. "I will not trade. They are yours. But I am mine." The ground split wide beneath them. Caleb shrieked as coins dragged him under, his reflection pulling him down into an endless casino where every game was rigged. Madison was seized by her older selves, hundreds of them, each one clawing, each one hissing alone. Zoe shattered into 1,000 glass shards, every reflection whispering forgotten. Tyler's scream echoed last as doors yawned open around him, each one leading to another downfall, another failure, another betrayal. And then silence. The cavern sealed shut. The voices faded. The abyss dissolved into mist. I was standing in my living room again. The hole in the floor was gone. The hallway short. The mirrors intact. The pumpkins still missing, the decorations still stripped away. Just an ordinary house. Except it wasn't ordinary anymore. It was mine. I walked slowly to the porch. Outside, Hawthorne was quiet. The street lamps flickered. A few leftover trick-or-treaters hurried past, their laughter light, innocent, unaware of the storm that had raged inside my walls. I looked up at the crooked oak tree, its branches twisted against the moonlight. For the first time in years, I felt no shame in being what they had called me. Witch. Crone. Burden. Crazy old woman. Fine. If that's what they wanted me to be, then I would be it fully, fiercely, forever. I turned back into the house, closed the door, and bolted the lock. The air inside was still heavy with smoke, but it was no longer suffocating. It smelled like power. Like freedom. I walked down to the basement, where the candles had burned low, wax pooling in black rivers across the stone floor. I bent down and blew them out, one by one. The flames died, but the memory of their light lingered in the walls. I straightened, pulling the cloak tighter. My hands no longer shook. My heart no longer ached. The house was quiet, finally quiet. And so was I. I whispered into the darkness, not to my grandchildren, not even to Harold, but to myself. They will remember me forever. Then I smiled. A sharp, cold smile. The kind you never forget. They called me a witch. Now the name fits.